Hello, everyone. While it's known that Meghan had a hysterectomy at 28, today I want to examine the life of Archie as he turns 5 and point out some unusual aspects. This is an important age for many children, often marking the start of school, making new friends, and beginning their educational journey. But for young Archie Mountbatten Windsor, things seem a bit different. While most parents are busy preparing their children for the classroom, Meghan Markle is across the world in Colombia, hugging children, far from Archie and his day-to-day life. It raises the question, is this how typical parents get their kids ready for school, or is this another chapter in the Sussexes' ongoing pursuit of attention? For a couple who once strongly voiced their desire to raise their children away from the spotlight, it seems they're doing exactly what they said they wanted to avoid. The irony couldn't be clearer. Harry moved his family across the Atlantic seeking freedom, normalcy, and a break from what he called the racism in the UK. Yet, here we are, watching a similar media frenzy around Archie and Lilibet, with the Sussexes seeming either unable or unwilling to step back from the public eye. When Harry and Meghan dramatically left the royal family, their main goal was simple: they wanted to protect their children from the public and constant media attention. They painted a picture of a peaceful private life, offering the freedoms Harry claimed he never had growing up. However, their actions since then tell a different story. Instead of shielding Archie and Lilibet, it feels like they've become pieces in their parents' ongoing public narrative. If Harry truly wanted a different life for his kids, why do we keep seeing them in the spotlight? Their lives used to keep their parents' fame alive. It seems that Harry's pursuit of privacy and normalcy has only led him to recreate the very situation he wanted to leave behind. Meghan's recent trip to Colombia is a clear example. While Archie is at an age where stability and routine are essential, Meghan is off participating in yet another public event. For someone who claims to prioritize motherhood, it raises the question, is traveling to risky locations and leaving the kids with nannies really the best way to support the life she so strongly promotes for them? Harry's public statements about wanting a different childhood for his kids often seem to contradict their actions. Despite his frequent discussions about the emotional and mental struggles he faced growing up in the royal spotlight, Harry seems to be creating a similar environment for his own children. Their lives now seem filled with public appearances, media attention, and constant travel. Harry's approach to parenting often appears more reactive than proactive. Instead of truly finding ways to provide his children with the peace and privacy he claims to want, he seems to be repeating the same patterns he once criticized. The couple's continuous efforts to stay in the media spotlight, while insisting they want to protect their children from it, reveal a significant contradiction. It leads to a serious question: is Harry genuinely committed to giving his children a different life, or is he more focused on preserving his and Meghan's celebrity status? The freedom he once sought is starting to look more like an excuse for a different kind of public life, one where they control the narrative but remain firmly in the public eye. Meghan's recent trip to Colombia to showcase her role as a humanitarian may have sounded admirable, but it raises serious questions about her priorities as a mother. While she's abroad hugging and posing with other children, where is Archie? Who is there to guide him during these important years, offering the stability and support every child needs? For someone who often speaks about family and mental health, Meghan's actions suggest she might be more focused on maintaining her public image than tending to her own children's needs. Her ambition to be seen as both a global humanitarian and a modern mother seems to clash with the reality of leaving her children behind to boost her brand. The choice to leave Archie and Lilibet in the care of nannies while she engages in globe-trotting ventures highlights the growing gap between what Meghan says and what she does. Her ongoing pursuit of fame and relevance seems to have overshadowed the more everyday but essential aspects of parenting. It raises the question, are her public displays of empathy just a distraction from the contradictions in her own life? The Sussexes' claim to want a private life feels more and more questionable when compared to their public behavior. Despite stepping down as senior royals, Harry and Meghan seem to have simply swapped one kind of public exposure for another, with a media strategy filled with tell-all interviews, documentaries, and more. Public appearances only continue to fuel the very environment they once criticized. If Harry and Meghan truly wanted a quiet, private life for their children, they could have stepped away from the spotlight, living under the radar as other royals have done. Instead, they seem to be on a constant mission to stay relevant, always finding new ways to keep themselves in the headlines. Sadly, their children are caught in the middle of their parents' very public pursuit of attention. The irony is striking. Harry and Meghan claim to want to shield their kids from the public eye, yet they've created a media circus around them that feels just as invasive as royal life. Their desire to profit from their royal ties, all while expressing disdain for the institution they left behind, only deepens the sense of hypocrisy. What makes this even more frustrating is the growing contradiction between the Sussexes' words and actions. They often talk about wanting to be normal parents, but their choices seem to reflect a different set of priorities. While they travel the world discussing parenting and mental health, their actions suggest they care more about appearances than actually providing the stable upbringing they claim to value. Harry and Meghan's relentless pursuit of fame and fortune, all under the guise of doing good, is starting to wear thin. Their efforts to position themselves as advocates for privacy and normalcy feel increasingly insincere when viewed alongside their globetrotting lifestyle, media deals, and public events. It's one thing to advocate for change and speak out against perceived injustices, it's another to maintain a lifestyle that contradicts those very principles. The growing disconnect between their words and actions is becoming hard to ignore, and it seems only a matter of time before the public starts to lose patience. As Meghan and Harry continue their quest for relevance, concern for Archie and Lilibet grows. These young children are caught in a public spectacle, entangled in a complex and often contradictory narrative created by their parents. While Harry and Meghan advocate for mental health and a stable upbringing, they seem unaware of the potential impact their choices may have on their own kids. Children need stability, routine, and privacy, three things that are hard to maintain when their parents are constantly in the headlines. With the family moving from one controversy to the next, the relentless media exposure combined with their parents' unpredictable behavior only adds to the uncertainty in their lives. This could have long-lasting effects on Archie and Lilibet's well-being. If Harry and Meghan genuinely want to provide their children with a different life, it might be time for them to step back from the public eye, stop making themselves the focus of every story, and concentrate on offering the stable, grounded upbringing they claim to value. If they continue down this path, their children may very well end up in the same fishbowl they were so eager to escape. Reflecting on Harry and Meghan's behavior, it's hard not to feel frustrated. There seems to be a lack of self-awareness in their actions and a refusal to recognize how their choices contradict their stated values. They portray themselves as victims and crusaders for justice and privacy, yet their actions often suggest they are much more interested in maintaining their public profile than in living the quiet, private life they claim to desire. If Harry and Meghan genuinely wanted a different life for their children, they could have quietly moved to a private estate away from the cameras and focused on their family. Instead, they have chosen to stay in the spotlight, benefiting from their royal connections while complaining about the very attention those connections attract. It seems they want the best of both worlds, to be private citizens when it suits them, but treated like royals when it doesn't. This constant back and forth undermines their credibility and alienates the public they're trying to win over. So, where do Harry and Meghan go from here? If they truly want to protect their children and provide them with a different life, they need to make some significant changes. They must step away from the public eye, stop courting controversy, and start focusing on what really matters: their family. This might mean giving up some of the perks and privileges they have grown accustomed to, but it could also lead to the peace and privacy they desperately seek. It may require reevaluating their priorities, letting go of their fixation on being seen and heard, and finding new ways to contribute to the world without making themselves the focus of every story. For Harry, this could involve returning to his roots and recognizing that his family ties are not something to be ashamed of, but rather something to respect and cherish. For Meghan, it might mean stepping back from the spotlight and focusing on the quieter, more personal aspects of life that she has often overlooked in her quest for fame. Beyond the facade, it's important to unpack the complexities of Harry and Meghan's public persona and parenting choices. With every new chapter in the saga of Harry and Meghan, fresh layers of complexity seem to emerge. Their decision to step back from royal duties and seek a normal life has been anything but straightforward, and recent actions suggest a growing disconnect between what they say and what they do. This discrepancy is particularly evident in their approach to parenting, public life, and their ongoing quest for relevance. Let's explore some new perspectives that might clarify why their behavior often appears contradictory and how this could influence their children, Archie and Lilibet, in ways that may have long-term consequences. Another interesting angle to consider is the immense cost of maintaining relevance in the public eye, especially for a couple that ostensibly left the UK to escape just that. While Harry and Meghan may think they are redefining what it means to be modern royals, they seem to be doing so at a significant personal and familial cost. Staying relevant in today's fast-moving media world requires constant content, controversy, and staying visible, something Harry and Meghan seem to grasp well. But this comes with the danger of overexposure, where every action, word, or mistake is scrutinized, criticized, and even mocked. They may find themselves stuck in a cycle where creating controversy is the only way to stay relevant, a risky and draining game. You can't help but wonder, how long can this last? The public's interest is fleeting, and what grabs attention today may be forgotten tomorrow. Are Harry and Meghan, in their pursuit of staying in the limelight, risking their credibility and, more importantly, the well-being of their family? The more they hold on to their royal status while distancing themselves from it, the more they risk pushing away both the public and the institution they are trying to break free from. Harry and Meghan often position themselves as advocates for modern, progressive parenting, but their choices raise concerns about the example they're setting, not just for the world, but for their own children. Modern parenting usually centers around empathy, understanding, and being actively involved in a child's life. In contrast, Harry and Meghan's high-profile lifestyle, packed with travel, media appearances, and public events, suggests they might be prioritizing their brand over family life. Creating a stable and nurturing environment for Archie and Lilibet should be a top priority. But what message does it send when parents emphasize the importance of mental health and emotional well-being while frequently flying around the world, leaving their kids in the care of others? Does this mean they truly believe in those values, or are they just convenient talking points for the public? This inconsistency doesn't just confuse their children, it raises questions for everyone observing. If modern parenting is about balance and genuine involvement, the Sussexes' actions seem to point to a different set of priorities. They risk coming across as more concerned with the appearance of being good parents than with actually fulfilling the role. One of the most striking contradictions in Harry and Meghan's public life is their ongoing demand for privacy while consistently doing things that attract media attention. The public definitely notices this double standard. Harry and Meghan left the UK claiming they wanted a quiet life, yet their actions suggest they are eager to maintain or even increase their celebrity status. This contradiction may come from a misunderstanding of what true privacy means. Privacy isn't about selectively sharing details to control a narrative, it's about stepping back and letting life unfold without the need for constant public commentary. The couple seems to want both to live as private citizens while still enjoying the perks of being public figures. But in a world where every move is analyzed, maintaining this balance is nearly impossible. Their back and forth between public and private personas confuses not only their children but also their audience. It raises the question, do they truly seek privacy, or are they looking for control? If it's the latter, they need to understand that public opinion is shaped by their actions, not just their words. An often overlooked aspect of Harry and Meghan's desire for a normal life is the long-term effect on their children. Despite their parents' intentions, Archie and Lilibet are growing up in an environment far from ordinary. They are already the focus of intense public interest, fueled by their parents' ongoing presence in the media. By keeping themselves in the spotlight, Harry and Meghan are unintentionally ensuring that their children will remain in it as well. Every decision, move, and word will be scrutinized and analyzed, not just now, but for years to come. This could mean that Archie and Lilibet may always be defined by their parents' choices, rather than their own. The irony here is striking. In their desperate attempt to escape the royal fishbowl, Harry and Meghan may have placed their children in a different kind of aquarium, one where the water is murkier, but the scrutiny is just as intense. If they truly want a different life for Archie and Lilibet, they must start by living it themselves. They need to step away from the media frenzy they've helped create and show what it really means to live a private, grounded, and authentic life. Without this change, their children could end up trapped in the same patterns their parents tried so hard to avoid. One of the biggest risks Harry and Meghan face is the loss of their credibility. When they first left the UK, they had a powerful story to share, a narrative of breaking free from a stifling system in pursuit of freedom and happiness. But as time goes on, their story is losing its appeal. Their constant contradictions, public complaints, and perceived hypocrisy are starting to wear thin, even among their supporters. The public no longer sees them as brave escapees, but rather as privileged individuals trying to have it both ways. This puts their credibility at risk, along with their ability to influence and inspire. If they continue down this road, they may find themselves increasingly sidelined not just by the royal family, but by the wider world. The public's patience has limits, and they can only sustain this strategy for so long before it backfires entirely. Looking at Harry and Meghan's journey, it's clear they are at a turning point. They can keep chasing relevance and stirring controversy, or they can choose a new path, one that better reflects the values they say they believe in. This might require stepping back from the spotlight, focusing on their family, and finding genuine ways to make a positive impact. It could mean trading in some of the privileges of celebrity for a quieter, more fulfilling life. The choice is in their hands, but time is running out. The public's patience is wearing thin, and their actions will ultimately speak louder than any carefully crafted statements. If they truly want to be seen as advocates for change, they must begin by changing themselves. One of the most glaring contradictions in the Sussexes' public life is their tendency to promote certain values while seemingly benefiting from them. They have presented themselves as champions of mental health, equality, and environmentalism, yet their actions often tell a different story. While advocating for environmental consciousness, they travel the world on private jets. They live in multi-million-dollar mansions while speaking about empathy and understanding for those less fortunate. Their focus on mental health also carries a sense of irony. They frequently share their own struggles, but often in ways that seem to garner sympathy, and sometimes financial gain. For many who face similar challenges without the same platform or resources, this approach can feel exploitative. The gap between what they preach and how they live is becoming more noticeable, creating a growing credibility issue. Their audience begins to wonder if they truly believe in the causes they champion, or if these causes serve as convenient ways to stay in the spotlight. The story of Harry and Meghan is filled with contradictions, complexities, and high stakes. They are two people trying to redefine their roles in a rapidly changing world, but in their pursuit of relevance and recognition, they risk losing themselves and, more importantly, the trust of the public. They are so eager to connect with the public, but if they want to be remembered for more than just controversies, they must live their values rather than merely speaking about them. It requires making hard decisions that reflect a true desire for change. Even if it means stepping out of the limelight for the sake of their children and legacy, they need to find a balance between staying relevant and being authentic. In the end, it won't be the headlines that define them, it will be their actions and the lives they choose to lead. That wraps up today's content. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below and share your opinions with everyone and me. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our The King YouTube channel. Goodbye and see you next time.